I'm not coming from that big company background where they have a team of experts that know. I've had to build everything from scratch, but that's how I learned. And now I know what it takes. So little by little, I have stepped forward into additional ways to bring in revenue, not just raising the price of my venue by increasing what I'm offering, but also little by little bringing in more value-added pieces.
Welcome to the Venue RX. On this show, we document and share best practices around owning, operating, and managing world-class wedding venues.
Janet, thank you so much for being on today on the Venue RX. I am really excited to talk with you about everything that's going on, not only with your venue, but the farm component. And you've got quite a few things going on, I hear.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, you started talking and I was like, hey, we got to push record and get started here. Can you explain the name? Because it looks like it could be pronounced Sanaview, your venue. You know, when you go to it, of course, we'll have the links in the description and all that, but it's actually pronounced Sanaview, correct? And you were kind of giving me a little bit of a background. Could you share that with everyone?
Yes, and everybody pronounces it Sanaview or Sanaview, and we don't mind. We know that is kind of an unusual. But we knew that overall, the business may eventually be international. So we came up with this name, Sana, S-A-N-A, which represents the first understanding that we had is health and wellness. It means, focusing on overall well-being. Well, through years, and actually the farm was part of me making a huge discovery on how to create a more successful and fulfilling life, because I'm also a speaker and an author and a coach, that I wrote a book called Stressless Success. And my discovery is everybody talks about mindset, but what I discovered is you might try to force a positive thought, but if you're not feeling it, and it's really the energy that you generate within you that emanates from you that creates your life. That's like in a nutshell. There's a whole long thing behind that. So it's more your energy than your thoughts. And after I made that discovery and I started to work with that, and not only did I have incredible things that happened almost miraculously, but it's from my energy that things happen, and the farm is all part of that. You'll hear stories. I stumbled upon another deeper meaning of Sana, which is one who emanates light and enjoys health and vigor of mind, body, and spirit. So imagine if you emanate light that emanates from you, that's an expanded and elevated state of being, then solutions, possibilities, opportunities arrive for you without thought. And that is my discovery that I do write about and teach about. Sanaview Farms, so Sanaview, a view into how to live a life of health and vigor, of mind, body, and spirit, but how to establish a state of being where you emanate light. So we give you a view into how to create a more successful and fulfilling life. An offshoot of the overall business that I had been doing for decades, we started a farm. And we thought, well, that would be really cool to have this farm in the country and teach people about eating foods that are grown naturally, getting back to the rhythms of Mother Nature. Because when you go to bed when it gets dark and you rise with the sun and you drink fresh water and breathe fresh air and move your body and eat real foods, then it becomes very easy to be healthy of mind, body, and spirit. Healthier and happier overall when you just live within the rhythms of Mother Nature. So the idea was we're buying this farm and we're going to grow some food in a greenhouse and teach people about natural living. But, Jonathan, we were growing food, organic. Oh, we had the most beautiful organic heirloom tomatoes. We were selling to the local restaurants and the local farmers market, but we were losing money because it costs more to grow an organic heirloom tomato than you can make selling it. You can only charge so much for an organic tomato, but the labor involved, just everything. And we were losing money. And I thought I was going to lose the farm. But it was as I was making this discovery about it's not your mindset necessarily. It's not just positive thinking, right? When you think you're losing money and you're going to lose a farm and somebody tells you, oh, you just need to think positively, you're like, right, it's not happening. You can't force a positive thought, or if you try to and you're not feeling it, it makes things worse. So I was making this other discovery that it was something else. And I was playing around with the idea that I just had to let go of the problem and do something else off that subject that had me so worried to elevate and expand the way I felt. I mean, literally, I was trying everything, even chanting over the strawberry field, this ancient chant of abundance. I mean, I was trying everything. And little by little, I just was feeling joy and gratitude for having the farm, regardless of the fact that we were losing money. And miraculously, so to speak, but it's not miracles, it's you. When you shift you, miracles happen for you. This young man heard me interviewed on the radio because I'm a speaker and an author, and I happened to mention I have a farm. Well, him and his girlfriend came out to the farm, and he called me and said, Miss McKee would like to come see your farm. I said, sure, come on out. I'm thinking, oh, the farm, so much work, we're losing money. He came to the farm, and he said, we love your farm, can we get married there? And I said, what? First of all, I didn't know people got married in barns. That seems ridiculous, but I didn't know. And plus, my farm was old and run down. It's a old historic farm. The barn was filled with hay and cobwebs. It wasn't like some beautiful wedding venue. And I said, you want to do what? And then I just shrugged my shoulders and I said, sure. That sounds fun. Why not? Well, they had a wedding and it was so successful, so much fun. Word of mouth got out and it saved our farm.
Wow. This is a fascinating story. I of course, you see some of it reflected on the website, right? As I was doing some research into you and kind of the speaking component and everything you've done for being an author and all that. But could you just, for the audience, give us a little bit of a timeline, like how simultaneously are these things happening? Was the background speaking and writing the book, and did that come before the farm, or could it kind of like help us sync up the timelines?
Okay, wow, I hope I can even remember. So I was in the corporate world, was a really high-powered, high-pressure job in Fortune 500 company, huge job. But I became very ill, and the doctors gave me no hope. And I got myself out of the hospital, and I started studying holistic health. And I completely resolved my health challenge when they told me there was no hope for me. And that made me inspired to leave the corporate world. And I went to Columbia University and studied holistic health. So I was in this mode of healthy living, and I started teaching about general wellness topics, healthy eating, healthy living. And that's when we acquired the farm, which has a whole story behind it as well. Everything was a miracle, just each thing, how it played out. And just thinking we were getting a place in the country for that whole healthy living, healthy eating thing. But then I hit other walls in my life beyond my health, which I had completely resolved my health. I was in perfect health. But my husband of 26 years walked out, left me heartbroken and family ripped apart, but also left me on the brink of financial disaster. It was that time, which is kind of ironic, that here I have this farm, and that also is losing money. And I'm dealing with this just dreadful situation with my family, which of course has all been resolved and all been perfectly wonderful now. But at the time, right, I was filled with fear and worry, and so many challenging things are happening. And that's when I went out into the world and literally studied with experts from all around the world, all about, positive mindset and success and abundance and high performance, all those things. And it was helping me a little bit, but I knew something was still missing. Think about it. We all do the positive thinking thing, but still something's not right. A lot of us are still struggling on things, and it's because of the missing piece.
Yeah.
And that's when I discovered by accident, by working with a client of mine. So I was already doing some teaching and coaching and some speaking on the holistic health realm. And then a little bit on high performance and success. But it's when I was working with this client of mine who was the CEO of a $250 million company that the light bulb went off. She was dealing with stress in her business, but she was managing that okay. But she told me she had a chronic pain in her abdomen, and she was really scared because she thought all the stress of her business was causing her to develop a chronic disease. And she said, but don't worry, I know all about mind-body, connection and wellness. She said, I go to bed at night, and every night I say positive affirmations to myself. And I'm sure you've heard about positive affirmations, right? And everybody's doing them, and they help somewhat. But most of people are not where they want to be in life. But anyway, I said to her, Monica, what are you saying to yourself? She said, I go to bed at night, and I say to myself, I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. And that's when I realized she was forcing a positive thought, but I could feel her fear. That's when I discovered mindset and energy vibration, which is what your feelings really are, could be different. Yes, when things are going well and you're thinking positively, fabulous, keep doing it. But it's when you have that challenge in your life and that stress and struggle. So it was kind of ironic. I'm going through a divorce, which was very much of a struggle that led me to research how to have more success and abundance in your life. And I start playing with these ideas of just shifting the way I feel off the subject that had me so filled with fear. That's when the young man arrived and said, Ms. Mckee.
Well, and Janet, I want to highlight something I think that like an interesting bridge that you made and what you said, that connection piece was, there's a sense of reality, and our reality might not match what we envision for ourselves or even hope to manifest or whatever the case may be. But to the extent that your reality doesn't match, there's a little bit of almost knowing, like in your subconscious, that you're faking it. And it allows you not to be genuine and really actually capture the reality of what your life could be. So it sounds like that right there is the connection. The second that you start, going from just kind of like you were saying, shouting those affirmations that she's healthy and things like that to making some shifts. So I'm curious, what shifts did you make in your life that actually kind of helped develop this? And then let's talk about the venue and what you're doing with the farm.
Sure. Okay, so Jonathan, you said something really important. You said you try to fake it, but if faking it doesn't feel right.
No.
Like fake it till you make it, and you're like, oh, I'm rich. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm broke, how am I going to pay my bills? Like it just doesn't work. That's not it. So you take that area and you just walk away from it for a while. You don't try to think positively about that thing. You go do something else. And we don't have enough time here today, but I'll try to make it concise. The idea is do anything and everything that expands the way you feel. So prayer, meditation, singing and dancing, being with one of your children and playing with a pet, go outside of Mother Nature. Remember a time when you were on vacation or when you were holding one of your babies, right? Or whatever that is, remember a time that you felt so invincible or so filled with gratitude. And just remember that time and practice the feeling. You keep practicing and practicing that elevated state of being. So much, you practice it so much that it becomes something you can do without thought, like tying your shoe. You know how you can just tie your shoe without even thinking about it? And even if you try to think about it, it probably will slow you down. That's what I'm talking about. If you can get to that elevated state of being without thought, because every thought has resistance. You have a day where you're happy, and you're like, wow, I'm so happy. But then there's that little bit of resistance in there saying, well, I'm happy today, but I wonder how long it's going to last. And am I going to be happy tomorrow? It's like there's always resistance. But without thought, there's no resistance. It's just freedom. And if you practice enough getting to that free flow state, and you can get there without thought often, so you just do that throughout your day, then when you revisit these areas of challenge, like paying your bills or whatever, you feel better, you feel more confident, you feel more relaxed, you feel more open, and then creativity flows, productivity flows, but most of all, solutions arrive that you never would have thought of in 1,000 hours of thinking. I was going through divorce. I wasn't thinking about weddings. I didn't even know they did weddings in barns. I know it sounds ridiculous right now, but I didn't. I was going through divorce. It was horrible. So I was just expanding my state of being on other subjects. And this young man arrived and says, I want to get married at your farm. And that was, okay, I bought the farm in 2012. He arrived it must have been end of 2014, 2015, because he got married the fall of 2000, I think it was August of 2015, him and his wife. So for your timeline answer, we're now in 2023. So now I've been doing weddings for a decade and have learned so much. But it wasn't my thinking and I was trying all kinds of thinking to strategize on how to save the farm. None of it was working. It was me just chanting over the strawberry field, having gratitude over the whole farm experience and thanking God that the young man arrived and my solution arrived. That's the idea I call trust the success. When you let go of the resistance, you let go of the walls of resistance that you build over stress and struggle, open up and let your life flow. Things happen that you never would have thought of. And trust me, those things that come to you with ease and with inspiration is far better than anything you could have thought of with your head.
Hey there, wanted to take a quick break and share a little bit about Common Sense Events and the consulting services that we provide. In the past year, Common Sense Events has been able to partner with several venues and provide consulting services around everything from marketing, sales, and operations. We've worked with families helping smooth out operational hiccups. We've worked with teams to help their marketing departments book more events, and we've worked with sales teams to make sure they're able to have higher converting tours. So if that sounds interesting to you, we would love to have a conversation about that. You can contact us at venues@cseventservices.com. You can honestly just reach out. You can also just reach out on the podcast and send us a DM if this is interesting to you. But we would love to talk with you and see if there's a way that we can partner with you and your venue and help make your venue run smoother. All right, back to the show. I love this. It's so interesting. So much of this has to do with, and I know we may get there, time permitting, in terms of the tour process and how you take people through the experience at Sanaview. But so much of this has to do with how you present the property, how you take people on a tour. Like, there are some very practical elements here to what you're saying. I love this. So let's dive in a little bit deeper. Tell me about the venue and the farm, kind of how are they positioned together? What do you do on each side of the property?
Okay, so the farm happens to be a historic landmark. It was designated by the Pittsburgh Historic Landmark Foundation. I live in Pittsburgh. My farm is 1 hour east on the Pennsylvania Turnpike in the Laurel Mountains. And remember, my son and I bought the farm just to have a place in the country to help people learn about healthy living and Mother Nature. Well, here we happen to be in the middle of a tourist area, not even knowing that I'm eventually going to become a wedding venue. And we even are doing more than that. And then the fact it was a historic landmark, nobody wanted to buy the farm when it was for sale because the Historic Landmark Foundation put so many restrictions on you. And I looked at it and it was a mess when I bought it. The farm was a total mess. It had been let go for about 50 years. But my son and I both saw beauty in it, but we didn't know why. It was just like something about this. So we just bought it, never owning a farm before, never owning a historic landmark. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And it was a lot. It's a ton of work, just a ton. But the fact that we're a historic landmark is part of the story that we tell the wedding couples, and we're in a tourist area, so we offer them, so we have the barn, which is a historic barn. It's the oldest barn in the area with hand-hewn beams, literally built in the 1800s by the original family that owned the farm by hand. And then we have an old farmhouse, which is a log cabin. It's an original log cabin. Part of it's exposed. We're going to restore that. We have a spring house, which is that we made into a tiny house because the whole farm is fed by spring water. And we have this bunkhouse, we call it, which used to be a chicken coop like 50 years ago, but it was an old shed falling apart when I bought the farm. But I knew I needed more places to stay, and I thought for farm workers to stay. Here, because I turned all these little buildings into living spaces, which I thought was for farm hands, turned out to be cabins that the wedding families can use for the weekend. So we give them the farm for the weekend, if they want it, and everybody does. So they come on Friday, have all day Friday night, do the rehearsal dinner. They stay overnight, their whole wedding party, and some of their immediate family can fit on the farm in these various cabins. And they have all Saturday night with overnight accommodations, and then they check out Sunday morning when they gather their belongings. So it's kind of cool then when I'm doing the tour, is it's all about stories. And what's important is you gotta love your business, love your place, love what you do, and really care about and love those couples. Because remember, if it wasn't for these couples, I wouldn't have a farm. And they hear that from me. They hear the stories about how it all came about, as they ask questions. I tell them about the historic significance. They love that. They love the hand-hewn beams. I point all these things out little by little through the tour. And I tell them the story about how if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a farm. And that's why my whole team treats them like gold, because they love working on the farm and they know that we were losing money years ago and it's the events that saved our farm. We make those couples know, because we're not faking it, okay? It is sincere and it comes from our heart that if it wasn't for them, we would not have our place. So we are grateful to them, but we also know that we're giving them the best possible that we can create with what we have. So it's a wonderful blend where everyone benefits.
That's remarkable. Can you paint a picture? You said you've been doing it for about 10 years now, right? Give or take?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does it look like? What did it look like in the early years? How many venues, or how many weddings rather, were you doing per year? And how does that contrast to what you're doing now?
Well, the first year, I think it was one full wedding. And then I think somebody heard about us and there was one ceremony in the barn. And then we realized what was potential there. We had maybe 5 the next year, and then right away, word of mouth got out. Of course, we were doing some advertising too. Now we do every weekend from beginning of April through New Year's Eve. Our barn is heated. Every year, not only do I pay my staff and I maintain the property, but I take the proceeds from the weddings and put it back into the farm and do something to continue to advance my offering. Because I'm going to offer as much as I possibly can to the families that come to my farm. Because also remember, it means a lot to me for someone to come and spend time on my farm. And I want them to have the best experience, because that positive energy of a joyful wedding is good for the farm too, and good for the vegetables. And there's so many miracles that happen on the farm. I own the farm and I bought it with my money, but something else is in charge. Definitely. That's a whole other story. But I feel that's a blessing. The good energy of the farm is a blessing to the couple. And so I want to keep advancing the farm. So we added a kitchen and bathrooms in the barn. We added bedrooms in the upper barn, so they also now have a few bedrooms. We insulated the barn, but we kept the view of all the historic beams. We added heat and AC. We added a big patio that came off the front, which originally I wasn't supposed to be allowed to do, but the historic landmark is so happy with what I've done to this old dilapidated farm that they're approving everything I did. And everything, we just keep beautifying as much as possible. We added additional bathrooms in the historic corn crib at the end of the ramp of the barn. You'll have to go to the website and see everything. But now, 2 years ago, we started learning how to make wine. And we've been successful making organic, all natural wine. We get our grapes in from the West Coast because the area we're in, Pennsylvania, is not the right environment for really high quality wine grapes. So now we got our winery license this year. So now we also have a wine cellar. We're developing winery. We're now serving our wine at the weddings, which is really cool. People find that to be fascinating. And we're even adding a little cafe wine tasting room. And there's a pizza oven, a wood-fired pizza oven we just got. And now for the wedding party, if they want, or the wedding family, if they want to have the rehearsal dinner in our cafe and have fresh pizza, Neapolitan pizza by the fire pit. So we just keep taking what we can, putting it back in to keep offering them the most amazing experience possible. But at first, that's all we had was a rough barn. And we just did the best we could with what we had. And it worked. And then again, I didn't charge as much as first, right? And then as we keep advancing the property, I increase what I'm charging little by little. I try to offer great value. I don't want to be the most expensive venue in the area, and everybody comes and says, I'm not even charging nearly enough. But I want that to be a good feeling where they feel like they're getting a great value. I feel like I'm getting a fair payment. We all are doing good. I don't want to take advantage of anyone, and I don't want anyone to take advantage of me. And it's just a positive situation.
Yeah. That, from just my own experience, comes when you kind of have a marriage of the right client with the right offering. Because if you have an offering for someone else, maybe they're like, you're taking advantage of us. But for another type of client, they're like, my goodness, so much value, right? So it seems like you've done a great job of really attracting that buyer and that type of client. Do you do something specific to kind of help you, I don't want to say weed out, but like when you're, you have the website, a lead comes in and you're giving someone a tour, are you touring them or is it someone on your team?
Me, my farm manager, and one other wedding event manager, whoever's available that day, we try to have tours any day of the week, even on wedding day, as long as it's before the wedding starts. So we try to be flexible. That's also important. Instead of saying, you only could come on this day for a wedding tour, because everybody's schedule's different.
Totally. So do you have a process whereby you identify the type of client? And do you ever say, you feel like it may not be the best fit, you maybe refer clients to other places, or does that typically happen kind of in the sales process that you have prior? How do you handle that?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because the couples always seem so great when they first come. And we do want to bring in people that are nice and appreciate our place and, and so forth. But then, a year later when the wedding's happening, sometimes all of a sudden, the mother shows up who we never met before. And it's like, whoa. Yeah. So that's one thing I've learned is you just have to kind of sometimes just go with the flow. And I'm also learning, because at first it's hard. I put my heart and soul into this place, and to have some relatives show up and because they don't want their daughter to get married at a barn, I can't do anything about it. The daughter picked. I used to have a hard time with that. Like somebody would come and be critical and nasty, but that rarely happens. I would say there's maybe one or two a year. But it's hard to know that in advance. So what I've learned is putting good energy out toward the couple, toward the family, and as you approach the weekend. If you remember, my teaching is that you are not a victim of what other people are doing. Really, everything you create is a result of your own energy that you generate and that flows from you. So I try to go into the weekend with high hopes and open spirit, blessing the family and my heart and soul. And if somebody is rough, then I am as warm and friendly as possible to them. And I try to bring my good energy and wrap around them and hope for the best. You can't really control other people, and so you do have to do the best you can. My hope is that through the tour and through what we offer in our brochure, that the right people that respect what we do come for the tour. And for the most part, that is so. They're only coming because they see that it has the feel that they want and the style that they want. That's why the bride and groom are coming for a tour to begin with. Mm. And you just can't, they have a big family. You can't always affect or even know anybody. But if I get someone that's really difficult, then yeah, I might say, you know what, maybe we're not a right fit for you. But I think I've only done that maybe once or twice in the whole time that I've been.
Totally. That's so cool. I love the attraction strategy you're using versus some sort of culling of a large group of people. It's more like attracting the right people to you. It's a little bit of a mindset shift. I hear that.
And if you get a family that's treating you rough or things are rough, you have to remember it. It's not them, it's you, because you have brought them in. That's hard. That's hard for people to admit. When I know I'm having, and remember, I'm not perfect at this, when I'm having a day that's not ideal, something not ideal usually happens. So it's always you. It's always me. Just always work on you, and the best will happen around you. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you take ownership like that of your life, powerful things happen. I know you know that. So getting back to the venue stuff, and we could totally have a whole different podcast, which is so cool. Like, there are a wealth of information on a variety of things, but I'm curious about, how you run the business. And, this is the Venue RX, all about, the prescription for success, more or less, for wedding venues. Do you have a system that you use on the back end in terms of like a CRM or some software, anything like that? Like, how do you actually handle getting clients from inquiries and leads that come in to, the sales process, to the operations and actually planning? Do you do the planning on site? Do you partner with people, give me a little bit of kind of the operational flow that you have here at Sanaview.
Okay, well, because I'm not Ritz Carlton, I didn't know anything about weddings when I started doing this. So everything I built little by little, I bootstrapped everything. And I just started by building a spreadsheet. Like I built a little pricing sheet on Word. And then I built a brochure, on Adobe Acrobat. And then I have a spreadsheet where I have every single wedding, the date, the name, the couple, and then it goes across with every detail about that wedding. And we have that on our farm. It's on the cloud. So the farm iPad can look at it, and I am constantly updating it, and my event manager can update it. So everybody is working from the same master document. So on that wedding, as we're planning the wedding, and, let me just admit to you that I have a method, and I've kind of created it by accident as I go. It's become crystal clear to me this year as we've grown. And now we've got the winery and cafe thing happening, which will also have events, that I do need, I'm going to do this winter, a set of clear processes and that are documented so that anyone that comes on board too, because I'm hiring and my business is growing, can read these set of processes and have a checklist of what to do. Because a lot of it's up in my head, and my event manager knows how to run a wedding, whatever. So we created it just by stepping forward, like little by little. We were just rent the barn. Go ahead, do your wedding. But then we're like, well, we should help coordinate it. And then maybe we should help coordinate the catering. And then we partnered with a caterer. We're bringing the catering, and we started doing the serving because we felt it was important to be there more and be more hands-on. And then we're like, well, people are coming and they're hiring a florist outside. Well, we had a woman on our team who studied with a floral designer from Manhattan. She trained us, and now 3 of us are floral designers. So we don't insist that we do the flowers. So little by little, I have stepped forward into additional ways to bring in revenue, not just raising the price of my venue by increasing what I'm offering, but also little by little bringing in more value-added pieces. But I've done it little by little and carefully going forward and trial and error. So I'm not coming from that big company background where they have a team of experts that know. I've had to build everything from scratch. But that's how I learned. And now I know what it takes. So when an employee is coming on board, or maybe an employee is going to join the floral design part, I know that it takes so many hours to do. So it's kind of neat as a business owner. But also as a business owner, I'm wise enough to know that I do need a good staff, and I need to step back. I'm the visionary for the business. I shouldn't be necessarily the one sweeping and mopping the floor, but as a business owner, I do it all. And I tell everybody they need to be willing to do it all. So on any given day, I might be negotiating a contract and scrubbing the toilet. I mean, that's the way it is, but we all do it. And what's kind of interesting is my whole team respects me because they know that I've done it all, and I'm fine to roll up my sleeves and grab the mop if everyone's busy and we need to. And that's cool because they think it's neat that I'm also, one that's willing to do it all. But at the same time, I need a good staff, and I need to step back. So also as my business grows, I need to continue to expand the vision. It's tricky. It's tricky being a small business. And so I need to improve my processes. But we use Word, we use spreadsheets, and so forth. Getting a more sophisticated CRM is something that I need to look into. QuickBooks is where we do our bookkeeping and invoicing.
Pardon the interruption, I wanted to take a moment and share with you about WEVA. WEVA stands for Wedding and Event Venue Association, and it is a professional association custom built for venue owners and operators. We felt like there was a lack of resources, community, education, and networking available specifically for our industry, and so we recently started this association, and it's been growing by the day. We would love to extend an invite to you, so please click the link in the description or wherever you're watching this video, and we would love to welcome you into the community.
Very cool. Janet, one of my favorite things about our industry in general is the amazing way business operations changes and it works for people in different scenarios. And everyone's in different places in their business journey and their experience level and things like that. But, you can have someone who is using a CRM system and has a beautiful website built out, and they may not be doing as well as someone else who is running off of some spreadsheets and has really good SEO accidentally because of some, you know what I mean? Like it's so cool and so interesting to see, like, what are the levers that really make a special event happen for someone, and how do you develop that reputation and things like that? Speaking of that, and this is something I wanted to ask prior, before we got into kind of some of the operations, but where do you find you're getting most of your leads from?
Well, wedding websites.
Okay.
We do get some from Facebook and word of mouth always. There's always a series from that, which is extremely valuable. Like, for example, we had like 3 brides just this fall that all were friends of a bride from a year or 2 ago, and they all chose my venue. So that's really helpful. But I'm still finding, that's what's interesting about the wedding business. It's a one-time client. Like, they don't come back to every year and have another wedding. I mean, they do, that's true, right? So these are one-time clients. Now, so, but what's neat now is we can offer them to come to our winery events and our cafe, and so we can have other business for them going forward, which would be something for small business venues to consider. If there's anything else you can offer them down the road. Like, whatever, even flower arranging workshops or something. But that's what's tricky about this business. It's always new. Somebody new, somebody that just got engaged. And the repeat, there's not really, there's some word of mouth, but the repeat customer situation is really not there for weddings.
Yeah, and it's also interesting, we as operators, as business owners, we continue to get older. I've gotten older year after year, but my client more or less has stayed the same age.
Yeah.
and so that brings me to a very interesting assistant question I'm fascinated with. Like, where do you get your cues for where the industry's going, what your clients are looking for, and how you can best serve them as kind of as we get older as operators, but as they kind of stay the same age range in terms of like when people are getting married. And I know they've said, people are getting married a little bit older now, whatever, but still we're looking at 22 to 30.
Yeah, for the most part.
Whatever, right? Where do you get your cues for where the industry is moving?
Input and feedback from our clients for the most part. Because I'm so busy developing the winery now and everything, I haven't taken much opportunity to research the industry. I think your organization and wedding websites and so forth probably have a lot of information on that. We try to customize the wedding for a customer. And trust me, that sounds crazy, but we offer flexibility and customization. So we ask them, what do they want? What's most important for them? You ask them at the tour, so you can see where you can fit their needs. You don't just give them, here's our thing. You say, well, what are you looking for? What kind of wedding are you hoping for? What's special aspects, so forth and so on. So we remain flexible. And then during that planning process, so we give them our concierge service when they rent our venue. It's light planning and coordination we give them, because we realize the most important thing is that they have a successful event. And it helps when we're there helping them make sure it's successful, planning and executing. So all during that planning process, we're getting ideas, because they're getting ideas like from Pinterest or other brides and different websites. They are getting ideas. So they're sharing those fresh ideas with me, and that's how I'm learning.
That's really cool. That's really cool, because you're asking the client and you're also asking them before they get married. So you're kind of with them along the process of discovery, and it allows you to kind of know, and maybe then even suggest things to
of course,
other sense.
Yeah. And remember, they're only getting married for the first time. I've been doing 1,000 weddings. So I also have great ideas and input to share with them to hopefully help them always.
In terms of what they want, in terms of what they're looking for and all that. I'm curious, when someone books with you, what do they get in terms of venue access? Do you have rental tables and chairs that you include? you said light planning and coordination. Is that, is it planning? Is it more full scale coordination? How long does it last? Kind of give me some of like what's included when you rent the venue.
Yeah, so we have a venue rental contract, which is renting the farm. And that's the reception site, which is the barn, huge barn and patio. We can fit a little bit over 300 people for a wedding, and the ceremony site. Now, if they just rent for the day, they could come in the morning to have all day. We have no curfew. They can stay late. We close the bar down by 11 p.m. We're really kind of flexible on that too, a little plus. But most people rent our weekend package. They get the whole farm for the weekend is what we call it. They arrive Friday. They have all day Friday evening. They can do some decorating. We include all the tables and chairs for the ceremony and the reception. We just include that. So you get the buildings, you get the venue, then you also get the farmhouse, the bunkhouse, and the barn has 2 bedrooms, and the ceremony site and all the tables and chairs. We clean all the cabins, we clean the barn, we give them the linens for the beds, bed linens and towels for the cabins. All the cabins have kitchens and heat and AC. So we give them the farm venue with the overnight accommodations, and with that is our concierge service. I call it light planning because we're not sitting down with the photographer and detailing every kind of picture they might want. We don't sit down with the DJ and make the list of songs. We ask them to do that. But if they need a list of photographers or a list of DJs, we help them with that. But we just check in and see if they have any questions. And then we help them sort of with the overall timeline. So I call that light planning. Of course, we talk in detail about the menu, how the food's happening, whether it's our in-house catering or we also offer partner caterers. We talk about the flowers. If we're doing the flowers, we get in detail. We get pictures from them of inspiration. So depending on how much we're doing, we'll get a little bit more in detail with them. The bar is important. And then that weekend coordination, I think, is really key. So we contact all the outside vendors. We're handling certain parts. So the bride and groom don't have any stress on their wedding day is the hope. They're not answering the phone 100 times because their DJ has a question. We try to handle all of that. And so that's the venue rental fee. Then anything consumable like food and drink, flowers, stuff like that, those are on additional proposals based on the number of guests and what they want. Some people want a casual barbecue. Somebody want a very fancy plated meal with filet mignon. I mean, that's going to be different price ranges. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do.
Well, and I'm curious, as a part of that, are you contracting with catering companies to do that? Are they signing the contract for food with you, and then you're going and finding that? Or is this someone, a vendor that or maybe a list of vendors that you just kind of give them a list of and say, hey, pick off of these? How do you handle that?
Our in-house catering is actually, we partner with a local chef who has an offsite commercial kitchen, and we have some kitchen facilities on the farm. They bring the food, we do the serving. So all that invoice from if they choose us and our chef to do the food, that's our in-house catering. We do all the invoicing, we do all of that. But if I see, and we're real flexible on this, if I see that our offering doesn't meet the client's needs, like we had one older couple that already had children, they had a very, very tight budget. There was no way we were going to be able to feed 100 guests for what they could afford. So we literally contacted a local market, ordered prepared foods with their agreement. We figured it all out, ordered prepared foods. We picked it up. We got it in our warming cabinets and we served it for them. We just wanted them to get married on our farm. It didn't matter to us that they couldn't afford our in-house catering, even though we're reasonable. So the answer to your question, sometimes it's us doing all the detail of the menu. Sometimes we're saying, we want you to speak to these 3 partner caterers to get an idea. And sometimes they bring in an outside caterer that's not on our list. And we do allow that, but we add a little coordination fee for that because we want to make sure that the catering is the most important part other than the venue. So we want to make sure that caterer is successful at our farm and that couple has a successful event. Because some outside caterers just come, they first serve the food and they leave. And there's a whole event going on for hours after that.
Trash cleanup, disposable trash that comes, 100%. Well,
dancing with a drink in their hand and it spills. Yeah,
yep.
All of that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the last piece of this that I like to go over. And then I'm going to ask you a question at the end. I ask everyone, what's your favorite part about owning a venue, kind of the specific venue part of it? what part do you really connect with? And then what is your least favorite part of the whole thing? And we'll start with the negative one so we can end on a positive note. So kind of put that bug in your ear. You can think about it. The last piece of this is, what do you do in terms of insurance? Like, how do you think about risk and liability and things like that? And I think it's a nice segue from what we were talking about before, because with bringing in other caterers, with bringing in other vendors, they don't always have the same standards that you might have, right? Or the same viewpoint on business that you have. And so how do you go about vetting those people, and what's that process there? Kind of give me a smorgasbord of all that kind of more boring stuff, maybe.
Yeah, it's not so boring. It's really important. That's a really valuable question. I think insurance is critical. I'm a big insurance person. I have liability insurance, general liability. I have liquor liability. Now that I have my winery license, I was getting liquor liability insurance even before I had a liquor license. Now that I have a liquor license, I have major liability insurance. Now, because I bootstrapped everything and built over time, I just collected a list of DJs that I liked that came to my farm, and they're on my list, and other caterers and so forth. I just try to make sure that if I'm recommending them, especially, that they're good, reputable companies that I've already seen them do a good job. So I know that they're good people, and they smile, and they're polite, and they do, nice. I mean, there've been some people that come through, and I said, they're never coming back again, right? So I just built things little by little and created my list over time. So I kind of did my own vetting. I do ask that everybody has insurance, but I don't rely on it. I make sure that I have all the insurance that I need. And I do not ask my wedding couples to get insurance anymore. Now that I have the liquor license and the liquor liability, I just cover everything, because remember, everything's energy. And if you're worried about something happening, that energy is going to go into your venue and into your wedding and into the job. Just spend the extra money, get the insurance, get some relief from that pressure. Not that it's, completely foolproof. For the same thing, all bartenders must be ramp certified. I make sure that they're carding someone that looks like they're underage. I mean, I do try to be as smart as possible. Still, it's a wedding and things can happen. You do the best you can with what you have, but have that insurance, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's tricky because you want to be gentle and kind, but then it also has to be backed up by a firm core that allows you to really, in some cases, act in the best interest of the couple, even though they don't know, because they haven't been married before. And you've done, so many weddings at this point that now and so you're like, I'm going to help you avoid this scenario. So
exactly,
it's the wisdom.
And that comes back to the stories you tell during the tour. It's like, the last thing you would want, you say with a smile on your face, is anyone to get hurt on your wedding night. And like, oh yeah, you're right. So it's like, everything we do is to make sure that your event is successful. If they understand that your rules and regulations are for their benefit, and it's because you care so much about them having a successful event, then they'll do it gladly and they'll understand.
Hey, just wanted to take a quick break and share a little bit about Common Sense Events consulting packages. In the last couple of years, we've selectively partnered with some venue owners to provide consulting services, and this year, we're looking to take on more consulting clients. We've had such a good time and been able to provide a lot of value, and our team has now worked with over 11 venues and hosted hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of weddings, and essentially compressed and compiled all of that information into consulting packages that can be custom created to fit the needs of your venue. If you are concerned with your current venue's performance, or maybe you're brand new to the industry and you're just looking for a partner to kind of help get things off the ground, our team would love to be considered to serve you and your venue in that capacity. So you could reach out at venues@cseventservices.com. You can also just click the link in the description of this video or podcast, and we'd love to hear about your venue and see if there's a way that we could partner with you and serve you. All right, back to the show.
I love that you said that, because you said that, and again, it's kind of like we know the positive affirmations and things like that, but like, you have to really live that. And I'm thinking, even at some of the venues that we manage, it's so easy to get into this like rules and regulations, like, sign the paper, like this is the rule and they're all here and they're all written down. Like that's fine because, you do need to protect yourself as a business owner and things like that. But that's not the energy that you want to give off. You really want to say, hey, we're protecting you. And the reason why we have these rules and regulations is because we do have the experience. And when you position it, you kind of change the conversation from being so head on to more consultative. You're together with them. You're right next to them, helping them have an amazing event. Thank you for highlighting that. I really appreciate it.
Well, in any business, not just wedding venues, if you take your business forward with the idea that it's not about you, it's about them, it's about the client, then your business is successful and grows. And you have then good clients that respect you too. Yeah.
I love it.
So it's always about.
We'll wrap it up here. What is your favorite and your least favorite part? We'll start with your least favorite, like I said.
Working every week. It gets to be a little bit tiring, but I'm so appreciative of it that's a little bit hard. Is when I put my heart and soul, and my whole team works so hard for these weddings, and you get a relative that there's nothing you can do to make them happy, but it's all good. We learn something from each one, and that's what I always try to do with any challenge is, okay, what is this person teaching me or showing me? And it's taught me to love them no matter what, because when you do, the result is fine. But that's what's hard. When you get a mother of the bride or groom, it's just no matter what, before they even arrived, they weren't happy that their child was getting married or something. So I try not to take it personally. But I think those are the hardest things about.
Yeah. And then what about your favorite part?
It's a wedding. My goodness. Like I do flowers, and I was talking to another florist, and she said, Mike, you're so lucky you do weddings. I do funerals, and it's always so sad. It's like, wow, we're doing weddings. Like every weekend, there's two people in love, and they choose your place to share their love for the rest of their lives and dance and sing and eat some good food and appreciate your place. Like that is a fun business. We're like cleaning and doing the dishes, and we're dancing and to the music. So, even people that own a bar tell me it's miserable. Sometimes you get all these sad people that just want to come and drink their problems away. This is a wedding.
Yeah.
That's your business, is to have people that are in love celebrate. Like, that's awesome.
That's so cool. I have a bonus question for you, and it just came to me. I think it really nicely circles back around to what we were talking about at the beginning. Your energy and the energy that you give off will attract something. It will attract either negativity or it'll attract positivity. It'll either attract problems and issues, or it'll attract opportunities. And when you have this energy, this vibrant energy, that you do have, it's, we're not even together in person, but you could feel it through Zoom here.
You have it too.
Thank you. I assume that you attract a lot of opportunities. How do you discern the opportunities that you want to pursue versus the opportunities that you want to avoid, so that you're not constantly scattered, and eventually kind of pull yourself apart, not for lack of good opportunities, but because there is an excess of good opportunities?
Which ones feel the best? Don't ever step forward in action with something that feels wrong. Because remember, that energy that you're putting into it's going to create the outcome. So I just go with, and I understand that sometimes I'm not sure, and sometimes it might be a risk trying something or going after an opportunity that I'm unsure about. But I know that if I put the best of me energetically into anything I choose to take action on, I'll either get clarity that maybe that's not, or I need to do it differently, which is a wonderful lesson. You never fail at anything if you give it a good try and you learn something from it. But I know now that if there's something I want to pursue, an opportunity, but it seems maybe so big or so overwhelming, I just need to get to a good place about it. or take just one piece of it and try that. And you step forward in any manner that feels good to you. Doesn't have to feel perfect. You're still going to be nervous about taking on other opportunities, possibly. And that's human nature. But if it's really not feeling right, either get to a better feeling place before you take action or don't take action on it.
So, and I guess there is a little bit of a deeper question. My feelings have often been misleading. And I think maybe we don't trust our feelings because our feelings could be adulterated by alcohol or any sort of like mind-altering substance or endorphins that come from the proximity or distance of people. How do you get to kind of the place where you can have a calmness about your energy and your feelings, where you can actually trust the feelings and follow that path?
Well, you kind of actually, in a way, answered it by saying sometimes you've had feelings that you thought were good, but were influenced by something that's not so good. You do need, it's helpful to have everything come together in terms of some idea that is wise and smart, and also from your heart. But if it's only coming from like a feeling and from your heart, but your head's not sure, then give it time and pray about it, meditate about it, whatever your feelings are. Go walk in Mother Nature. And overall, you'll know that that thing has something not right about it. It's kind of exciting, but not sure. Give it some time. Maybe don't act until you're a little bit grounded.
Got it. Give yourself a little bit of space to be able to no, it makes sense.
Oh yeah, I've done things. We all do. I've done things out of just a moment of thrill and excitement and think it's the best idea in the world, and it didn't turn out the best. But all of those, if you look at them, you probably learned something from them that's extremely valuable and made you stronger and wiser. So again, there's never mistakes in life. They're all wonderful stepping stones that teach you something, maybe to gain more clarity or to pause, but before you do something irrational. But again, if there's good energy behind anything you do, you'll get a good result. But it doesn't need perfect energy, but good, clear energy.
Yeah. Cool. I love it. Janet, thank you so much for sharing with us about Sanaview, with everything you're doing. This has been a lot of fun. I can't wait for people to hear it.
I've had a blast. Your interview is just fantastic. You had so many good questions. I hope I shared well with your audience. And thank you again for having me.
Definitely. One last question. What's the best place for people to either contact you if they're curious about you or the farm? Like, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, if you go to sanaview.com, SANAVIEW, you'll learn all about both aspects of our business. The success side, we call it, which is where I do writing and speaking and coaching, and the farm, which is an example of how I used my discovery to create incredible success and everything that's going on there. The idea with the whole company is any way you experience us, it transforms you in some way into a better version of you. So sanaview.com, we have Sanaview Farms, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, and feel free to email me, janet@sanaview.com or info@sanaview.com, and anyone can feel free to call me at 724-417-6695. I take phone calls personally.
Amazing.
No problem.
Awesome. Janet, thank you so much again. This was a lot of fun, and I look forward to staying in touch, and I can't wait to release this episode.
Thank you, Jonathan, and please do keep in touch.
Hey there, friends. Jonathan here, and I wanted to share about Common Sense Events Management Services. Common Sense Events is my company, and we professionally manage and operate venues all across the United States. and we would love to have the opportunity to chat about your venue if management would be the right solution for you. This is a great opportunity for people who are looking to maybe get out of the industry, or maybe they want to keep their property, but they don't want to sell it, but they still want to make money from it. Our team comes in and we do everything from the marketing, the sales, the operations. We hire a local team. We take care of the taxes. We pay them. We keep them accountable. We take care of all the management. We do all the sales process. We do all the operations, everything from setting up to tearing down tables and chairs, and everything that it takes to run an incredible wedding. The best part about this all, it is not super expensive. We actually have a lot of these agreements set up as management contracts where there's a revenue share. And so it is really a awesome and frequently affordable way to work with an outsourced management company so that your venue stays under your brand name, but you have a custom venue management solution for you so you don't have to be working 80 hours a week. If this sounds appealing to you, please send us a message using the link in the description of this video or podcast. You could also send us an email at venues@cseventservices.com. We would absolutely love to hear from you and see if there's a way that we could partner with you and serve you.